Welcome back to the No Referees podcast. I'm your host, Evarist, Dr. Joby, with another quarantine edition of our podcast. You can find us on our social media pages at No Referees Pod. You can find us on our new YouTube channel, No Referees Podcast. We're joined today by our very, very special guest, Mr. 410 himself. You know what I'm saying? He's a reporter. He's been a track and field athlete. He embodies what the Camden Yard lifestyle is all about. You can find him everywhere on social media by searching his name, Deion Broxton. My man, who's a Ravens fan till he died, Mr. Deion Broxton. What up, brother?
Hey, how's it going?
Man, good, man. Just chilling out here, man. Hey, how about them Ravens in that draft, brother?
We're looking good. I'm a little I don't want to sell anybody short, but we got the dude from LSU, the inside linebacker, which that's what we needed, because once we lost C.J. Mosley, everybody was just tearing us up across the middle, because, C.J. Mosley was that, like, enforcer. He was like, Ray Lewis 2.0, where he could cover, he would call the play calls and everything like that. And we got that dude from LSU, and he looks good, but I think he might be a little undersized. And I looked him up, and that's one of the things he got tired of hearing is people saying he was undersized. Because to me, he looked like a strong safety. But I mean, from watching the tape, you can see the kid can play football. So I think we made some good moves in the draft, and we addressed our concerns. I was also happy with J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State. Mark Ingram had a good year for us, and I feel like you can pretty much find a running back anywhere, but like us picking up Mark Ingram in the offseason last year proved well than having a bunch of no-name running backs, because he had over 1,000 yards, made the Pro Bowl, and I think it helped in Lamar Jackson being that more successful. So now we got Mark Ingram and then J.K. Dobbins in the backfield. I think we're going to another good season, and it's just, can we put it together when playoff time comes?
Well, hey, y'all got Lamar. That's all y'all need, man.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I didn't want him at first because, the projects, special projects. Denard Robinson was a project. Tim Tebow was a project. And, if you're basing off of history, it doesn't end well. Terrell Pryor was a quarterback and then became a receiver. So I'm just like, I don't know if it's going to work, but he proved me wrong. After that first season, I think I read that he was working with, quarterback coaches and got in contact with some popular quarterbacks and really worked on his mechanics and stuff like that. So when I saw he had that 5-touchdown game week 1 in Miami, I was like, oh man, this is not gonna happen again. I think he did it two or three more times late in the season when he threw for 5 touchdowns. I was like, man, he proved me wrong. So, but I mean, to me, none of that matters if you can't do it in the postseason. I'm a big Joe Flacco fan.
Yeah, I'm about to say, you talking like you a Joe Flacco fan.
Yeah, because Lamar, it was Joe versus Lamar, and I was on Joe's side. I'm like, I know Joe wasn't the best in the regular season, but when they call him January Joe for a reason. When the postseason came, he would show up, and I get it. You can give someone only so long to prove if they're worth that contract, and obviously he wasn't worth that contract. But when playoff time come around, he showed out. So I was a Joe Flacco guy. So when he left, I was heartbroken because I was in college in our Super Bowl, and I even drove home because I went to York College of Pennsylvania, where I ran track for 2 years, and I drove home to watch the game at home with my family and friends. And I remember once we won that Super Bowl, I came back to college that same night. It was only a 45-minute drive. And I remember just everybody out in the street, people on top of cars, people beeping their horn. I mean, you can go anywhere in the city. And it looked like the Freddie Gray riots without the rioting, So I was so appreciative of Ray Lewis and Joe Flacco. And we've always been known as that tough, gritty team. We were never we weren't flashy like we are now. We were just that tough, gritty, Baltimore team. And now we're flashy, but we're not winning in the postseason anymore. So it's it's only one reason you play the game. That's to win. And I don't care about, and I mean, good for Lamar, for winning MVP. But at the end of the day, we want the Lombardi trophy, not the MVP trophy.
Right. I'm gonna tell you, one of my good close friends played for the Ravens, DeVar Darling. If you see this, what up, brother? He was a wide receiver there for a few years, and he took me on a little tour of the practice facility at Owings Mills, and I was like, man, that's Ravens, y'all doing big over there.
Yeah. What year did he play? Because that name sounds familiar.
So he was a receiver there. DeVar, if you see this, I'll know years, but I was the 2007, 2008-ish, because I was interning at Georgetown at the time. I remember driving over from Georgetown to go visit him.
And you know why that rings a – I was thinking like 06, 07 when you said that, because I used to play Madden 06. I think that's the one Donovan McNabb is on the cover, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. I used to use the all the time. So when you said that name, I'm like, it sounds like a name from Madden.
Yeah, you catch that thing. And so before we get to Baltimore, I just want to, you mentioned that you were a multi-sport athlete. I want to know, here on No Referees, I ask all my guests. There's a no rules, no text, no whistles podcast. You can say anything you want. When was your first interaction with a referee that you remember, and what was y'all interaction like?
That's a good one. I started playing. I remember, and it wasn't like a direct interaction. I started playing football in 8th grade, or the summer before 8th grade. I started playing football, and when you were a first timer, I think I was playing like 10, 12, but I was 13, and I was ringing, so I had to like lose like 10 pounds, but I couldn't lose the weight. So they made me lie and say I was 12. But see, it was my first time playing, so I wasn't that good. I think I was I played like just offensive line the whole year, and I was a center at one point. I was like 130 pounds and skinny, and one of my coaches came up to me and he was like, "Hey man, the referee is telling me that you've been holding every single play. You gotta stop doing it." I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing out here, man. And the referee never called a flag on me the entire game
either. That's crazy, man. Yeah, you was a 130-pound center soaking wet.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, of course, I got taller and faster and started lifting weights. So when I got to high school, I was playing like safety, corner, tight end, all that stuff.
All right, cool, man. So talk about Baltimore. I'm a guy from Texas. I grew up a huge Cal Ripken Jr. fan. Grew up a huge, back in the day, one of the Ravens guys that had Vinny Testaverde. I used to love him play. So talk about, that's all I think I knew from sports. And then as I got as a teenager, obviously The Wire came around. So talk about this. So tell me about just being from Baltimore, what it's like, and what most people don't know from the rest of the part of the world. Because when I saw your Bison fan video and your twang, like I knew exactly that you were from Baltimore, because one of my friends, my friend Yasmin Perkins, she got that same twang, and I knew exactly what you said. With you, I knew you were from Baltimore. So let's talk about just being from Baltimore, just the whole everything 410 we talked about.
Where do I start? Well, one thing that really stands out. I've been getting all these messages and stuff from people on every platform since the Bison video. And one guy told me, I've been doing interviews with the TV stations and stuff back in Baltimore. And one guy told me, he said, I have a friend, I forgot where the guy's from, but he said, I have a friend here who's from Baltimore who always speaks negatively about it. And he said, you guys both come you guys both come from the same place, but you seem to be more positive when talking about Baltimore versus my friend. He said, whenever I try to talk about good things about Baltimore, he just always brings up the negative. And I guess it's like family, like we don't pick our family members. Family members, they piss us off and they get on our nerves. But at the end of the day, they were the ones who raised you and made you who you are. And that's what Baltimore is like. It's gritty, you got to watch your back. And when I first moved to Montana, I still had that, like my roommates wouldn't lock the door. And I'm just like, y'all didn't see Omar run up in the stash house with the shotty? but that's how I grew up. You lock the door. You got people might try to pull one over on you. That's different in Montana. Like if you break down on the side of the road in Montana, people will try to help you. If you break down on the side of the road in Baltimore, you don't know what's going to happen. Not to say you got to tell the good with the bad, the crooked with the straight. So growing up, I always had like that hard exterior. When you're walking down the street, you got to have a mug on your face because if someone think they can take advantage of you, they might just try you. So I just always growing up with that hard exterior. And then I really, when you live there, you don't think about where you're from when you've been there your entire life. I didn't truly understand Baltimore until I left. When I went away to Pennsylvania to college, and when I was in high school, we all had accents. We all talk like we're from Baltimore. We talk like we're from Baltimore. But once I got to college, that's when people kept saying, "You talk funny. Like, where are you from? You talk." And that's when I realized where I came from. And I think most people, if you grew up in the hood like I did in Baltimore, you don't get that if you never get out. So I learned pretty quickly when I got to college or when I was 18 that I was different from the rest, or Baltimore is different from the rest of the world. And I remember the first time I came home, I don't know if you know North Avenue, but North Avenue is like historical in Baltimore.
Hey, look, the only thing I know about Baltimore is West Baltimore, Cherry Hill.
Yeah, that's a rough area. I remember watching The Real World a few years ago, probably a decade ago now, and one guy on there was from Park Heights, and I was like, how the hell did you make it to The Real World and survive in Park Heights? I remember driving home from school one time and being in Baltimore. I was like, man, Baltimore is really a rough place. Like, it gave me a new set of eyes. I'm like, damn, Baltimore is a really rough place. And then, of course, when you tell people, oh, you're from Baltimore, the first thing you hear, if it's not the Ravens or Orioles or Cal Ripken, it's The Wire. And I can't tell you how many people ask me if The Wire is really like that. I'm like, spot on. Like, boarded up houses.
That's why I was going to ask you that too, because, again, the rest of the part of the world, the rest of the United States that don't know anything about Baltimore, only thing, it's like me, I'm from Texas. Most people think that we ride horses and cowboy boots and, situations. So, So I know exactly what you mean. But like you said, you get a lot of people ask you that, does that make you feel proud or not so proud that like something like The Wire is a good depiction?
Since I work in journalism, you give both sides of the story. You give everyone their fair shake. So it's true. Like I try to think of if it makes me feel happy or sad. I'm in the business of truth, so I give both sides. Yes, Baltimore has its problems, but we also have our good parts. Like I'll tell people, like, yeah, like East and West Baltimore, they have its problems, but you have your nice parts like Harvard East, Canton, Fells Point, Federal Hill. Where it's pretty gentrified. Where in those areas it's more white people who live there. But at the end of the day, I tell people that city raised me. You can't be a dumb. I'm not trying to like disrespect anybody, but you can't be a dummy working in journalism. Like if you want to make it far, you got to see through the BS and see when people try to fool you or try to hide something. So like growing up thinking you got to be careful, or if someone trying to pull one over on you, you gotta. I think that helped me, in journalism, because I can see through the BS. I wouldn't say it, but I still work for a TV station, so I don't want to get in trouble by cussing.
You good, bro? Hey, man. Yeah. People come over here, they be themselves, man. You family, so I got you. So I got a question for you though, and Baltimore people will see this when we post this. Who's more influential to the city, Cal Ripken Jr., Ray Lewis, or Omar Little?
Omar. Well, because Baltimore is like, last time I checked, Baltimore is like, it's between like 63 to 68% Black. So people relate. If you wanted to get into the nitty gritty, the city is full of Black people.
Right.
Who are born and raised there, not the ones who come from different parts of the country to work there. So like, I mean, Cal Ripken is big, obviously, but it's a new generation now. So it's like my grandparents and my parents, they're the Cal Ripken generation. But
Right.
at the end of the day, Cal Ripken, and I guess Baltimore was more white back then, but at the end of the day, Cal Ripken is more of a white icon in a black city. So Ray Lewis was huge for us. And I don't want to make light of a murder, but when the whole murder stuff happened with Ray Lewis, people were like, oh, that's fitting. He's from Baltimore. What do you expect? He's fitting right in.
Yeah.
So like Ray Lewis was like, and you know how it is. Like if in street, when it comes to the street, if you've killed somebody, you get respect. So then somebody's like, oh, Ray Lewis got a body on him. People in the hood like, damn, Ray Lewis got bodies. It gives you that respect. I'm not trying to justify it, but it is how it is. So Ray Lewis was pretty big in the city. And then when the whole Freddie Gray stuff happened, he did like a Facebook Live. We did a video saying, like, stay home, like, stop being out in the streets, keep yourself safe. And I think the city responded pretty well to that. But who's the new icon of Baltimore now? Lamar Jackson. Even though I'm a big Joe Flacco fan, when we got Lamar, like, people just flocked behind him because you don't see too many black quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, I think this past year was probably the year of the black quarterback, but like, we don't see too many of them. And, Lamar Jackson looks like these kids who walk around, with the hair and stuff. He looks just like them.
And he got that similar twang too.
Yeah, he got that. I don't know what the hell he be saying, but he got that Florida. Because I got family in Orlando, and when we picked up Lamar Jackson, it's like, oh yeah, he a Florida boy. You can tell by the way he talked. I can't understand what he's saying half of the time. But I think Lamar Jackson, he's going to be a new Baltimore icon, and I mean, he got an MVP already. The whole city is behind him, not because obviously because he's a good football player, but he looks and sounds like the real Baltimore. I remember during the Freddie Gray riots, people would say there are two Baltimores, and that's true. It's the harbor where it's nice and you take your family to the restaurants and stuff and walk along the water. Then it's the hood you drive through to get there. You see the boarded up houses, you see the rats, and I caught flack from a few people. They were saying like, why are you talking about rats and stuff in Baltimore? Like, I hate people like you. I'm like, I'm just telling them how it is, man. Like, of course, there are people trying to, clean the city up and do things and make it a better place, but you just don't ignore these things. You got to address it to fix it. And we got big ass rats in Baltimore. It's just like that. But Omar is an icon in Baltimore. He is.
So the gentleman who play Omar's character, when you see him, do you automatically think of Omar, or do you just think of anything else?
Omar, like, we had a reporter in Baltimore like a few years ago. His name was Omar, and he was actually Omar for Halloween. But we used to say, "Oh, Omar coming," and then with the whole Bison video, when it was back when the restrictions were being put in place in across the country. So I think it was like the same week that Larry Hogan, the governor of Maryland, he put the restrictions in effect. And one of my friends, he made a video. It was like he made a picture. It was like Omar, but he put Larry Hogan's face on Omar. And then the next picture was me looking scared at the Bison because Larry Hogan, it was Omar holding the shotgun with Larry Hogan's face on it. So it's pretty much saying, I ain't playing no more, get in the house. And I thought it was a pretty funny picture.
You got a lot of culture shocks you're going to get to, different places you've been. Talk about that initial culture shock going outside of Baltimore to see just another part of the country.
I realized that people are mostly normal and calm. Like in Baltimore, everyone's just high strung. I feel like people are just high strung. It's like you might bump into somebody. I remember I was walking in Chicago one time to visit one of my homeboys, and some dude bumped into him. Like, yo, watch where you going. I was like, there's about to be a fight right here. But I forgot about how volatile cities can be. But yeah, when I got to York, I'm like, damn, it's quiet out here. Ain't nobody bothering me. Like, is this how life is supposed to be? And I got like, I got used to it. I remember I would come home. I mean, first of all, I'm not living in my family's house anymore. I'm on my own, so I was enjoying the freedom. And then I was just enjoying like, wow, I can like walk to the store and not have to worry about getting jumped and stuff like that, you know? And I was just like, wow, it was like suburbia. Because, you know, York has its city, but the school is like on the outskirts. It's in the county. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, York College is in the suburbs, or like it's the county part. It's not in the city, if I'm not mistaken. But I was like, wow, like people are nice and calm and laid back and not so high strung. So that was but it was when you get calm, comfortable, laid back, you get boring a lot of times. So after a while I got bored. I'm like, yeah, it's time for me to go back home. So I went to Towson, which was like, you know, more upbeat. It was on the outskirts of Baltimore, but it was fun. Like Towson was fun. I had a blast at Towson. In York, it just couldn't compare because it was just small and quiet.
Yeah, I know. One thing I know about York being a strength coach, you got York Barbell. That's where the
Yep.
headquarters is at.
Yep.
So you leave York, you go back to Towson.
Mm-hmm.
What drew you to the whole journalism piece? You know, how did you start the studies there, and you know, talk about just your first couple of starts. You know, what get into the journalism piece.
Well, it started in I would probably say middle school. I'll never forget this. Sixth grade, I wasn't really like paying attention to sports. Like my mom was a big NBA football person, so my mom was always watching sports. But in sixth grade, all the guys would talk about the Ravens game, and I felt left out because I didn't really watch sports like that. So in sixth grade, I started watching every Ravens game so I could join in the conversations on Monday. And I mean, I was hooked, you know, like I was just hooked. And I remember like in high school, I mean, I was just like, I mean, I was a full blown sports fanatic by the time I got to high school. I mean, I knew like I knew everything. I remember the 2005, I think it was the 2005 NFL draft. It was the same draft as Reggie Bush, Vince Young, Jamal Charles. And I remember, I mean, I was just obsessed. I remember telling one of my classmates, you know, Jamal Charles led college football in fourth quarter rushing yards. So that means he gets better as the game goes on. And one of my friends was like, why don't you just work for ESPN or something? And it just stuck in my head. And then we had in the cafeteria, it would always be on ESPN because I went to an all-boys school, Archbishop Curley. So we would just have it on Sports Center and ESPN all day. And one of my friends joked, he said, you know, some years from now, I'm going to be watching ESPN and I'm going to tell my kids I used to go to school with that kid right there. So, like, my mindset was just to do sports journalism going into college. And, like your first few years of college, you just care about partying. That's all I just wanted to party, you know. I kind of just, you know, going through the motions with classes and stuff. But then when I got to Towson, I was like, all right, I got to start taking this more. Okay, I didn't have any internships. I was just taking classes and just skirting by, you know. I was always a good student, but, you know, I was worried about having fun back in college. And then I was like, it's time to take this seriously. So my grades got better. I mean, I had like, you know, like a 3.0, but like my grade, like I got like, I think my last semester I got a 3.6 and I made a dean's list. But I was just taking it more seriously. And the goal still was to get into sports. And then I took news reporting the same semester as the Freddie Gray riots. And I went down to the protest. I went down to the protest to cover them for class. And I saw Lester Holt. I saw CNN. I saw just all of the obviously the Baltimore media, the DC media, these national news outlets, Fox News. I took a picture with Geraldo Rivera. Like I was just like, my mouth was in awe. And that day, I said, I'm gonna be a news reporter. Because I was already taking, you know, when you want to do journalism in sports, you always take the basics, you know, which is primarily centered around news, who, when, where, why, what, all those. So I was just focused on sports. But then when I saw the Freddie Gray stuff, I was thinking, the city needs somebody from here to tell this story. Because, like in journalism, we come from all over the country, but people really appreciate the hometown guy.
Right.
And I was like, and first of all, like from working in journalism for almost 4 years, people, if someone looks like you and talks like you, they might be more willing to talk to you on the street. So like, I don't know, if there's like a murder or something, and it's, you say, hey man, did you hear about what happened here? If you're a white guy from California, they're not gonna want to talk to you, especially if it's the hood. But if you talk like them and you look like them, like, are you from around the way? They might be more. I mean, they still might not, but it's that slight chance they might talk to you. So sports is what got me into journalism, and news is what I guess made me a viral sensation, I guess.
Yeah, going back to sports, so you were one of those guys that can recite stat sheets like with the rest of them. So at that particular time when you say you just change your focus to just news instead of sports, did you ever feel in the back of your mind you was going to eventually go back to sports?
I'm still thinking about it. Jay Harris, he's the anchor for SportsCenter. I met him at a conference back in 2016 in DC. I met him at the National Association of Black Journalists conference. And he told me he worked in news, and he was just so good that one day, I think we call them headhunters, you seeking talent. Somebody just called him up and said, hey, have you considered doing like ESPN? And that's how he segued into ESPN. And then also with sports, you can be, and the goal is to be conversational. And sports is just natural for me. I can just talk about sports natural. News, that's not always the case because you're covering different stories every day. So it's like you're trying to wrap your head around this story within a few hours versus sports. I've been watching the Ravens for years, and, I'm an average fan. So like if somebody wanted me to say, Lamar Jackson had a tweaked hamstring, he's back in the locker room right now. His backup is Trace McSorley. This guy has never had an NFL start, so he's being called. I can just recite that because I'm a fan of it. Versus news, you got to wrap your head around it. But that's what I do appreciate about news is that it's challenging, and when you're being challenged, you're getting better. So it's good for me. And plus, a lot of sports people in small markets can relate to this. It's a pain in the ass shooting sports because, in these small markets, you do everything yourself. So I can just, call somebody up. Hey, can I talk to you about this story? Go in, 10-minute interview, shoot some B-roll of whatever like say if it's a fire, boom, interview the fire department, then, shoot the house that caught on fire and I'm done. But with sports, you got to shoot a whole game. Because I was a sports intern in college. I interned for my sports department at Towson. You got to shoot the whole game. You got to edit highlights. It's hard. It is so, and then there's less.
A lot of work too.
Yeah, not saying I'm not up for it, but if I can like do news and then go to ESPN one day and have somebody shoot my stuff for me, I'm not gonna complain. So it's and then it's more guys in sports than it is in news. News is all girls. Like at my station, I'm the only guy. I'm the only on air male in the news department. We have in our sports department, we have 3 guys. So it's much more competitive because there are less sports anchors and reporters than there is news. So not to say that I'm backing down from the challenge, but I thoroughly enjoy covering news because it's making me a smarter, more well-rounded person. And so, but if that avenue, if the opportunity comes for me to cover sports, and part of being a sports journalist too, you still have to tell a story. If you watch College Game Day on Saturdays, they always find some story to tell during the countdown. Right. And this guy had a rough background. His dad was killed at 5 years old. His mom got cancer, and now he's honoring them. Playing at this school. Like you have to be able to tell a story. So it all goes hand in hand. I know sports, so I'm not worried about that. But what I'm learning to do right now is to tell a story.
I always thought that kind of stuff was just like filler, like time filler stuff.
Yes, exactly. And
So,
I appreciate it, man. Like those 30 for 30 documentaries, like I love them. The Jordan documentary that's going on now. Kobe might be having one come out pretty soon. You know, I know I can like knowing sport. Everybody knows sports, but telling a story is something that everybody can't do, and that's what I'm learning.
I wanted to make sure that athletes had access to a shooting machine that they could take anywhere. So I came up with the concept to fold it into a duffel bag. I ended up prototyping with my friend Xavier, welding our first prototypes in the garage. I made it for myself. I also made it for the millions of other athletes out there that are trying to reach their dreams and trying to make it out.
all right, so you're in Towson. You know, one of my guys I know over at Towson, basketball coach Pat Scary. Tell
I
us.
interviewed him.
Okay, yeah. It's my other homeboy over there, Kevin Clark, assistant coach. Shout out to them over there doing a great job. Tell me how, and tell all us brothers out here, how you ended up from Baltimore to York, Pennsylvania, back to Baltimore area to Missoula, Montana.
Well, the city I'm in is Bozeman.
Oh, you in Bozeman? Okay, so tell us
Yeah.
how you ended up in Bozeman, Montana. I said Missoula. I looked up your station, and the address was in Missoula.
Yeah, that's the main station. So we have like bureaus and stuff. You know, bureaus is just like a smaller version of a station. So I'm in Bozeman, and Missoula is the main station. So that's like the headquarters, you can say, the mother station. But
mothership.
Yeah, the mothership. So when I always knew I wanted to be on TV. I mean, I thoroughly love journalism. I'm not one of those people who wants to be on TV just to see myself on TV. I thoroughly enjoy what I do. So when I graduated from Towson, I just thought I was going to walk right into the door somewhere and be a reporter. Because, I mean, it happens for a lot of reporters, just, you know, because they're that good. But me, I had an accent problem. You know, my accent was just too thick. So I got a job at Channel 2 in Baltimore as an assignment editor. I was part-time. So for 4 months, I was working at FedEx and working there part-time. Like I think I went like 4 months straight without having a day off. And what sucks about it, I guess it doesn't suck because it helped out in the long run. The day I had my interview was opening day for the Orioles. And I've never been to to this day, I've never been to an opening day. And I wanted to go to opening day back in 2016. And I couldn't go because I had the interview. So, but I got the job, so I did that for 4 months. Then I got a job at WJZ in Baltimore, which is like the #1 station. Like they go back and forth competing with WBAL as, you know, these legacy stations that, you know, it's been like the #1 for forever. The people, the talent, they just been there for forever. So, but during this time, as working as an assignment editor and as a web producer, I'm like picking reporters' brains. I'm talking to anchors. You know, how did you get your start in front of the camera? You know, tell me what I need to work on. I would go out and shadow reporters. I remember one time when I was working at Channel 2, like my boss, she let me go out and shadow a reporter on the clock. So I was part-time, so they could allow me to do that by, you know, still getting paid to shadow someone. And that same day, the day I did it, there was a police-involved shooting in West Baltimore, and I was in it, and not in it, but I was like, I hopped in the car with the reporter, and we just sped to the scene. And I think the guy had like an assault rifle or something like that, and all the reporters were right there. And my buddy, he's in Chicago now, but my buddy was like, "Here's the mic, here's the camera, do your thing." And I was nervous because all the reporters were like right there. Because they all went live at the same time. Like for the 11 o'clock news, they all went live at the same time. So it's like, they're looking at me like, who the hell is this? Like, who is this guy? And he's introducing me like, oh, this is he works for us, but he wants to get on air and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just like nervous. It's like police tape. people walking by, ambulances, SWAT team. I'm just so nervous.
You sweat bullets, huh? You sweat, love.
Yeah. Yeah, and the reporter, he was like, keep going. He just kept, I think they made me like say stuff like 30 to 40 times. They just had me keep going until I got comfortable. Now, looking back on it, I mean, that's exactly what I needed, you know? But, you know, I used those experiences to help me get my first on-air gig. So, but the writing was okay, the shooting was okay, but the big problem was the accent. And I had to get that down. So, I think it was 2017. I almost got a job in Gainesville, Florida, you know, with the Florida Gators play.
Yep.
Yeah, I almost got a job there. The news director called me up. He's like, hey, man, I like your resume. 'Cause, you know, at this time, I got like a year of experience working behind the scenes. He was like, you know, I like you, but your accent, man. He said, if I bring you down here, you have to prove to me that you can fix that accent. And I'm just like, you know, I'm just crossing my fingers hoping that he hires me, and he didn't hire me, and it pissed me off. And I was like, you know what? I called a speech pathologist. I worked with her for like 4 months. And when I put that first tape out, I had 3 interviews in 1 week.
All because of your accent, though? I mean, dang.
Yeah. I mean, and I get it, because I did a podcast with NPR about it, because my speech pathologist, she was approached by NPR. It's called, I think it's called Talk American, Code Switch. It's Code Switch. It's an NPR podcast called Code Switch. And I think the name of the episode is called Talk American. And they interviewed me about it. And they were saying, do you feel like discriminated against because you have to sound a certain way? And I said, I guess maybe, but at the end of the day, it's what I want to do. So if it's something you want to do, you're going to conform to do it. So, and I get it, you know, I can't be in Montana talking like from Baltimore, like, yo, I can't like be talking like that. So people need to understand me. So I get it. But of those 3 interviews, one was Macon, Georgia. My family's from South Carolina, so I was like, I don't want to go to the South and be sweating bullets, man. But
mosquitoes,
the other one,
all that.
Yep. You see the guy? Remember the reporter who the bug went in his mouth? I wasn't trying to be like him. But then I got an offer from Peoria, Illinois, and I didn't know nothing about Peoria. It was just, I just knew Richard Pryor was from there. And as I looked it up, I mean, no offense to people in Peoria, but I'm like, it just looks like just like a little, I don't know, rusty city. I don't know. I'm not trying to disrespect nobody. But Peoria didn't impress me. So then Montana, I didn't even apply. They called me out of the blue. And it was like, hey, yeah, man, we watched your reel. It looks pretty good, you know. I was wondering if you were interested, you know. They didn't give me the job on the spot, but I had like a series of interviews, and I remember my boss, I had a Skype interview with him. He turned his webcam around out the window to show me the mountains. And he was like, yeah, you get to see these every day if you work here. And I'm just like, I'm from Baltimore. Like, me seeing mountains ain't gonna do nothing for me. Like, I don't care about no mountains. And I was like laughing to myself, like, you can't sell a black guy on no damn mountains, man. I'm sorry. But,
hey, look, you want to sell me some Popeyes.
We don't even got a Popeyes in Bozeman. The closest Popeyes is in Billings, and the other one's in Missoula. So, like, I don't even got Popeyes. I waited like 3 months to get that chicken sandwich because I had to like wait, you know. But what happened? You know, I had a series of interviews, and they felt like family. You know, I was talking to the assistant news director, the news director. They were like really selling me on it, and you know, they always say go with your gut feeling. And I'll never forget it. It was 2018. It was Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, it was Memorial Day weekend at the beach, Ocean City, Maryland. You know, Memorial Day, everybody, all the girls, everybody down at the beach that weekend. So I remember my boss called me. He was like, your background check cleared, your drug test cleared. So if you want to move forward, I can send a contract your way. And I'm like, yes, I'd like to move forward. And I said yes, I would like to move forward, but I was just like frozen. I didn't know what to say. I'm just like, damn, like I'm only about to go to Montana, and my friends, you know, we at the beach house, and my friends were like, afterwards they told me I wasn't really there. They said it seemed like I was like spaced out and stuff, and it was true. I'm thinking I'm about to pack up and drive 2,000 miles across the country to Montana. But that's how I ended in Montana. They just made it feel like family, and the experience is definitely worth it. I mean, is Montana for me? No. But am I appreciative of the experience? Yes, because I think it makes you a much more well-rounded person when you can be around different cultures and see different people and just get outside of that bubble that was Baltimore for me. Because when I was trying to get my first on-air gig, I was trying to stay as close to home as possible. I just wanted to stay. I'm not going to the sticks to be a reporter, you know. I tried, but it didn't work out that way, and I was scared to drive to Montana. But I'm so happy I did it. Like I don't have any regrets because it's made me a much more well-rounded person. And you know, if I didn't come here, I wouldn't have that video with the Bison. You know, I mean, not saying that I need a viral video to make me who I am, but like, you know, things happen. I mean, if you believe in a higher being, you know, if you don't, but things happen for a reason. So maybe it was meant to be, you know?
Right. So I lived in China, I lived in New York City, I lived in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, I lived in DC, I lived kind of a little bit everywhere, especially Texas, Houston, Dallas. So for you to say that you took that, you know, leap of faith to leave your comfort zone. You know, I've lived overseas, so I know what it's like to leave and go far, far away. You know, so tell me about that initial shock. Like we talked about York. Tell me about your boss on the webcam try to sell you with the mountains and the fresh air. You know what I'm saying? You know, what was that like when you touch down, you get out your car, you step out, you just look around, see the blue skies. Tell me what that first experience, first of all, moment, days was when you got to Montana.
Well, I've never, like, up until this point, I've only been up and down the East Coast, like, you know, as far north as New York, as far south as Miami. I've been to New Orleans, I've been to LA, and I've been to Chicago. But before this, I've never been like in the Midwest or the Pacific Northwest. So when I'm driving from I'll just load up my Honda Civic. So when I'm driving from Baltimore to Montana, when I get to the Midwest, I tell you, man, that sky is open. Like I could see, like, it was scary because, you know, in the Midwest, there's so many like tornadoes and thunderstorms and stuff. You can see the whole cloud on the high. I was like, this is about to kill me. Like I'm about to die in the thunder. Like I've never seen an entire cloud before. And it was like 9 of them. I was like, I ain't even gonna make it to Montana. It was just like thunderstorm after thunderstorm. And I mean, I cannot tell you how scared I was, man. Like I was more scared than I was at Bison. Like you could just see like the storm, like the rain coming down and the whole cloud. And I'm thinking, man, if I get in this, it's gonna kill me. And then I got stuck at a gas station in Minnesota because it was raining so hard. And I was just like trying to wait it out, but it was not easing up. So I think I waited at that gas station for like maybe 30 minutes to an hour. And I was like, I'm like, man, just forget it. I just got to get out because I'm going to be stuck here if I don't leave now. And then as soon as I get on the highway, I get the beep, 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 tornado warning. I said, oh, hell no. I was like, no, I'm about to get caught in a tornado. But luckily, it was a warning. So I don't know if it touched down or not. But I mean, I'm going to look in the record books. It was like what? It was June 23rd, 24th at like 4 p.m. And I got rid of the tornado warning came on my radio. Because, you know, you can't get no service out there. So I couldn't listen to Apple Music or nothing like that. So I had to just listen to the radio because I'm like in the middle of nowhere. But most people think Montana is like a cowboy town with tumbleweeds and stuff. So when I did my research, but when I got here, I was like, oh crap, it's like an actual city. I expected to see like saloons and cowboys and stuff. I'm like, oh, it's like an actual city.
You thought you were going down the Oregon Trail and all that?
Exactly, because Lewis and Clark went out here. Like, Lewis and Clark discovered all this part in Montana. So when I got there, I'm like, oh, it's an actual city. It's like a downtown. It's not nothing elaborate, but it's still like it's a city. I said, okay, I can work with this. But the winter, man, it was the last 2 weeks of February of my first winter here. The last 2 weeks of February and the first 2 weeks of March, man, we hit -40. And I was just like, -40, man. Like, people kept telling me, in Montana, it's not humid, so the cold doesn't hurt as bad. Versus like in Baltimore, it's humid, so humidity makes the weather like if it's hot, humidity makes it feel hotter. If it's cold, humidity makes it feel colder. So everybody kept telling me, it's not that bad. But man, -40 for like -40 no matter where you go. And I mean, this was even historic for Montana. Like, everyone kept telling me, like, this is unusual. I'm like, you sure? This is my first winter here. And I remember posting an article on my Facebook page, and the title was, Montana just experienced one of its coldest winters on record. And I'm like, I'll be damned, and it'll be when I come here.
I had the same happen to me. This past winter was my first winter in Chicago. And, All-Star Weekend was here. And everybody, coldest winter in Chicago history, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yo, why gotta happen the first winter I got here? Same situation.
Exactly. And when I went to Chicago, I've been there twice. It was hot both times. It was summertime. I was like, man, y'all can't catch a break. It's cold in the winter and hot in the summer.
Talking to people just like the life of a reporter. Like, you're in the trenches. It's not just in front of the camera. It's not just reading from a teleprompter. One of my good friends in the NBC affiliate in Memphis, Kelly Cook, took me on a little tour one day of like everybody has like little cubicles in the newsroom, and you're sitting there writing with stories, and just time to tell people about what it's like the time you get to the news station before you get on air.
It's not as glamorous. In a small market, like I'm in a small market right now, you do everything yourself. You set up your own live shots, you shoot your own stuff. You like in the bigger station, like in Baltimore, you have like an assignment editor, the one who looks for the news and can call police, call the fire department. You are that person in the small market.
Story on get the kitten out the tree type stuff.
Yeah, everything. They gotta save the kitten too. It's a grind, man. Like, some kids, they think to themselves, can I get through this? And everyone always says, if you can get through like those first few years in a small market, you'll be fine, because once you get to like New York and LA or Chicago, Baltimore, you get a photographer, you just get more resources. So it's a grind, but I'm competitive. Like, Kobe Bryant is my favorite athlete of all time. And I'm competitive, so I had that competitive nature. So for me, I like getting those exclusives. Every reporter, it's their job to do these things, but it takes work. It takes work to get those exclusive stories and things like that. So when I got here, I'll never forget. My boss, like my coworkers, we all went camping. Like my second weekend here, and I was riding with my boss in the car. And I was like, I said, I just want to work, man. I just want to work. He was like Deion, like, relax. Like, you're going to have your time. I was like, no, man. Like, I wish I was working right now because I want to get better. It's a mama mentality, Like, I want to get better and I want to compete. And so it's rough. But for me, growing up, I might complain a lot, but it's nothing compared to growing up in Baltimore. Like, I remember I got some fresh, a brand new pair of Air Force Ones one time. And my uncle told me, be careful. I don't want nobody to take them from you. That was the worst thing he could have told me in 6th grade, man. I was so, every time I wore those damn shoes, I was just worried that somebody was going to take them. I swear to God, man, I was so worried that someone was going to take them from me. So, but growing up in Baltimore, like, this is nothing. You know, I mean, I get upset. I have my bad days, but it's nothing compared to like what other people go through in like places like Baltimore. So I would say my competitive nature is what gets me through it. And like I told you, I'm about to start a new job in a few weeks here. So, you know, it's a bigger market. It's in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So still a very white state, but it's a bigger jump. Bozeman is market 185 last time I checked, and Cedar Rapids is market 90. So it's like a 85 market jump. So you know, I'm a competitor. So
Like you're going from low major to mid major.
yeah, and what's the saying? A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. That's how I look at it.
Right. So, all right, so let's get into some of this Bison fame. I checked your Twitter. Today you have about 7,300 tweets. Well, everybody knows the tweet that you sent out on March 25th, 2020. You are a brother at Yellowstone National Park. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I didn't know where Yellowstone National Park was at. Yeah, I ain't know where it was at.
You got here.
So I didn't know. I thought it was in Utah. So I didn't know where it was at. I ain't gonna lie. So
might as well be China, right?
Yeah. So you get to Yellowstone. Walk us through the steps of leading up to you setting up the camera, what you were doing, what were you there for? So a lot of people probably don't know why you were there. Then we'll get into tweeting and all that stuff after that.
So I've been to Yellowstone at least like 25 times. Like I'm in Bozeman, so Yellowstone is like an hour and a half from Bozeman. And you know, like Yellowstone made Bozeman what it is. Because I don't know if you know this, but Big Sky Resort, and that whole area is near Yellowstone too. That's where like the Kardashians, Justin Timberlake, all the famous celebrities come out here in the wintertime to ski. So it made Bozeman this booming place because they fly in through the Bozeman airport. So Bozeman gets like 4 million visitors a year because of places like Big Sky and Yellowstone. So my boss is always like, whenever there's a good story in Yellowstone, my boss loves sending me, and I can't, like, I like Yellowstone, but it's horrible in the summertime because it's so many people. And me, I just kind of got tired of the long drive. Because, you know, like, when you're doing everything yourself, when you're on the road for 3 hours, that takes away from the time you have to work on a story. So my boss always like, oh, you got to get down to Yellowstone. I'm just like, he knows it. See, I'm like, I don't like going to Yellowstone, man. But the coronavirus stuff is picking up, and they decided to close the park because of coronavirus. And I'm like, damn, I gotta go to Yellowstone again. So my boss sent me down there, and it wasn't that many people there because, you know, in March, you know, it's starting to get a little bit warmer in like Wyoming and Montana. So when it's March, so I was expecting to see a handful of people. It wasn't that many people there because of the coronavirus stuff. So, you know, I get there and I'm shooting my B-roll, do my interviews stuff. I couldn't even interview the superintendent in person because of the coronavirus. So once I got to like outside the park, I just pulled over on the side of the road and I did a phone interview. I had my camera recording. I did a phone interview with the superintendent. So, you know, I go inside the park, I go to the entrance of the park, you know, I start shooting. And the one thing I noticed was there were bison everywhere because, you know, when the park is closed down, there aren't people or cars to scare them away. So I'm like, damn, it was like, if I were to guess, it probably was at least like, maybe like 60 bison there. I mean, it was a lot of them. They all spread out, of course,
right,
but they were everywhere. So, you know, in news, you got, you know, we record stand-ups. You know, you basically in front of the camera, hey, I'm Deion Broxton here at Yellowstone. We just closed the park because of coronavirus. So, you know, I don't really like animals that much. Like, I barely like dogs, you know. And it has to be like a really
you know, you like the big old rats from Baltimore.
But you know, I've gotten used to them because I've been there so many times. So I've gotten used to them because they're pretty docile. If you don't bother them, they're pretty docile. So, you know, this is how my mind works. I need to shoot somewhere where people can know I'm at Yellowstone. So perfect, the sign, you know, leaving Yellowstone National Park, like perfect. And when I pulled up to the scene, it was like, I think it was like 5 or 6 of them. And they were, if I were to, I'm not good with like distance, but if I were to guess, they were probably like maybe like 30 or 40 yards away.
Right.
And after being there so often, I was comfortable at that distance, but they were slowly coming towards me. So I've done a bunch of stories on Yellowstone, and I've done last summer I did a story on a girl who got tossed by a bison. My first summer there, I did a story on a guy who got drunk and was like taunting the bison. Like he got in front of it and was like, playing with it, and it like charged at him. So I did another story where a park employee got attacked by an elk. Because it was this time of season where the animals start having their babies and they're protective over their babies. So a park employee accidentally came up on a baby because it was like in between a car, because like animals, when they will hide, like elk, and you probably think, how does this kid from Baltimore know all this stuff about animals?
I mean, shit, I'm sure you know now.
Yeah, exactly. But like elk, if it's like really hot outside, they'll hide their babies in between cars to keep them safe while they go look for food. So somebody accidentally stumbled on the elk, the baby elk, and an elk attacked that person. So I know that these animals will attack. So when I get to the sign to start shooting my stuff, I see them like slowly creeping towards me. And the rule is, for bears and wolves, 100 yards distance at least. For all other wildlife in the park, you need to be at least 25 yards away. So this bison is starting. It's like 5 or 6 of them, but the one closest to me, they all were walking to me, but the one closest to me didn't break eye contact. We made eye contact, and he just kept walking. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, it's like, what are you doing? Like,
like
stop.
that girl in the club.
Yeah. He just kept, I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Stop. He just kept walking I didn't know, and he wasn't aggressive. He was still calm. But I'm just like, if you're not going to stop, I'm going to leave. And you can see my eyes like, when are you going to stop? And I was like, you know what? Do you know Mark Lamont Hill?
I feel like I know the name, but I can't think of his face right now.
He's like, he used to work for CNN and the Huffington Post, but he's pretty.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
And he said, he posted my video, and he said, Black people don't wait around to investigate; they just get the hell out of there. And that's what I did. I was like, no, I'm getting out of there.
So you looking back and forth from the camera to the bison, I mean, what else are you saying to yourself? Like, is it gonna stop creeping on the come up? When did you really feel like, okay, I got an exit stage left?
Bears, I know bears can run up to 35 miles per hour. It's about the same for a bison, and that's faster than a human. Because I think Usain Bolt is clocked at running like 28, 29 miles per hour or something like that. So I know these things are faster than me. So, and they ram you. So I'm like, if this thing rams me, because my car is like my news vehicle is right there. And, I'm not going to run because I can't outrun it if it charged me. But so I'm thinking I got to get in the car to keep myself safe. Because I'm thinking, like, if this thing rams me, it's going to pin me up against the car and I'm dead. So I'm just like, let me just grab it and just try to, like, not spook it. So I felt like people said I was calm, but I was nervous, but part of me looking calm was not to spook it, because, I think no matter what animal, if you, like, testing the animal, they're going to buck back, So I'm just like, don't make any sudden movements that might spook it. Because they could have just rammed me up against that car and probably could have put me in a big dent in that car. That's all I was thinking about. Like, I need to, like, get to safety. So, and I didn't even know the camera was, normally I stop recording, but I was so spooked, I just picked the whole camera and the tripod up and just threw it in the back of the car.
Man, you was out of there.
Yeah.
Then I see you post a video when you were at a safe distance. How far were you when you posted that video of the bison roaming around at that point?
See, when I put the camera in the car, there's a thing called the Arches in Yellowstone.
Right.
I drove towards that to like finish shooting my stuff, but they were still walking in that direction. I'm just like, damn, I can't catch a break. So I swear to God, man, they started walking that direction. Because, since there's no people in the park, they're more bold, I guess. And they started walking in my direction again. I'm like, I'm not trying to do this again, man.
They think that you look like them, got the same skin tone.
Exactly. So I put the camera back in the car, literally put the car in reverse and drove backwards for like 50 yards so I knew I wouldn't be in their path. So I shoot my I finally shoot what I was trying to shoot, and then I said, let me get. In my mind, I wasn't even thinking about having evidence to prove to people, because at this point, I'm not even thinking about posting the video. I'm just trying to get my stuff done. So in my mind, I said, well, since they're right here, let me get some shots of them. Just because it's Yellowstone and you want to see animals. And then when I get back to the station, because all of us news reporters, we always upload bloopers. Because like, I think one blooper I had, I was like walking down a pathway to like a trail here in Bozeman, and I slipped. It was pretty funny, so I posted it on Twitter. That got like maybe like 100 likes. So when I get back, I didn't even think it was that funny. I thought it was funny, but not that funny, So when I get back to the station, I see the video. I'm like, what the hell? I was posted, and then man, within like 5 minutes, it had like 100 likes. I was like, whoa. Then 10 minutes, it's in the thousands. I was like, oh man, I might be on to something. And like, and mind you, I still got to get my work done. Like, so I got to like edit and get my stuff ready for like the 6 o'clock show. I was just getting messages, emails, phone. Like, I couldn't help it. Like, it should not have taken me that long to get my work done. But I was at least on my phone like the whole time. And those like, and then somebody said, people started saying, oh, I don't believe it. I think he faked it. And I was like, whoa, I didn't, because I got some video of them damn bison. And then some people were defending me. Some people were saying like, ain't no black man gonna try to like get video of bison coming at him. The only thing he's thinking about is get the hell up out of there, which was the case. And I did post a video when I got a safe distance away to prove to people there were bison there. You can even, I don't know if they have like security cameras at Yellowstone or not, but you can that day there were bison everywhere, and anybody can. I think it was March 25th. Anybody can attest to that. There were bison all over the road that day. But those next 3 days, man, I called out. That was on a Wednesday. I called out on Friday because I got so sick and tired of my phone just going off nonstop. I was like, I told my boss, I can't work with all this. Like, I just called out because I got tired of it. I mean, I did interviews and stuff. Like the interviews, like for my media people, I was all for it. Like CNN and the news stations, I'm all for it. But just like the Twitter notifications and just the random people who I didn't know, it was. I mean, I was appreciative, but it was annoying. I was like, I'm tired of this. Like, let's go back to normal now. And now I'm fine because all the dust has settled, and now I can like actually talk to people and respond to like their emails and stuff like that. Right. So I was happy when it blew over.
Yeah. So going viral, and people think it should be.
No, I needed an assistant, man. Like, I needed somebody to take all those phone calls, and I was, I'm doing all this stuff myself. I think I did like maybe 20 interviews, and I was just so overwhelmed, man. Like I love like my media people. I did a radio show in Pennsylvania, and they were surprised that I like got back to them and agreed to do it. I'm like, no, like I get it, man. We work in the same industry. Like I know how you hoping for an interview. I know how that can change it there around. If I can get land somebody to interview, it makes you happy. Oh yes, like I got this person. So like I don't think I turned down not one single interview to do, because I get it, for people who work in the media.
Yeah, hey. When I sent you that email, I'm like, man, this dude's so viral. But then I was like, man, he from Baltimore, so I know he down to earth. And then he hit me back. I was like, yes.
Yep. And I looked you up, and I was like, man, you got the LSU coach on there? Let me give this a shot.
yeah, man. Hey, and people still asking me, you know, I interviewed Coach Wade, about 2 weeks ago. I just posted it recently. And people were like, man, there's no way you're going to get Coach Wade. He ain't going to talk to you. You know, he ain't doing no press right now for the whole situation.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, I just appreciate you, you know, coming on and you know, sharing some stories and, you know, being real. And, you know, again, like you said, your joint been blowing up. You know, I don't even know what it's like to have something viral. I mean, I looked at this morning, you had like almost 12 million views on it. Man, I still got to be one of the best memes there. I mean, you had NFL people, like, teams, and WNBA, all these sports teams. So, I mean, what was that like?
I was upset that the Ravens didn't use it, I would have to say. But I posted Yellowstone. They sent me a poster, and I posted that on Twitter. And the Ravens Twitter account liked the picture, because, you know, I got my Ravens hoodie on and my Orioles hat on. And then somebody from the Ravens emailed me and said they wanted me to like be like an ambassador to the team. I forgot what the right terminology is, but it was like, yeah, we're gonna send you some stuff. You know, we want to keep up with you. I'm like, oh my, about time. What y'all been waiting on, man? I've been here for a minute. What y'all been waiting on? Like,
you been there knowing stats and everything from back in the day.
Yeah, like, what y'all waiting on? And that like I'm appreciative of all like the people and stuff who reached out to me, but the Ravens, that was a big one. I was waiting for that one, man. So
cool.
we haven't talked about the details yet. It's still like preliminary, but it was like, yeah, let us know when you're back in town, this and that. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm about to get me a jersey signed by Lamar.
You gonna be an ambassador for the team. You get more than jersey. You gonna get that sideline.
Yeah,
you gonna get that parking space, all that.
Yeah, let me. I can shoot up too. I still got a little something left in the tank.
and you the right height, 6'3", you know what I'm saying? Got good hands, receiver, you know what I'm saying?
I go across the middle, I get hit one time, I'll be done. Nope. Nope, I'm done. I'm sorry.
So what's on the horizon for you, brother? You mentioned you got a new opportunity coming about. You know, not because of the Bison fame, some stuff you've been working on before that. You know, what else do you got or you see yourself doing in the future to capitalize on this momentum that you have?
Yeah, that's the important thing, because I feel like I haven't really capitalized off the Bison video yet. I mean, what it has done is put my name and face in front of a lot of people. Like after the video, when I would contact people to do interviews with them, they already knew who I was. So that helps me out a lot, because it's like, even if they're hesitant about doing an interview, it's like, oh crap, I really want to meet the Bison guy. Yes, I'll do the interview. You know, that has helped me out a lot. And down the road, and you know, like I told you, the goal was to always get back to Baltimore. But now, after exploring the country and seeing so much, I want to keep exploring the country. You know, Baltimore will always be there for me, but like the opportunity and the time to explore the country won't be. You know, once I settle down and have kids and stuff like that, that's not gonna be easy to do. So I want to keep exploring. Maybe Baltimore might be in the future. I'm not sure yet, but I just want to be happy. Like everyone keeps saying, like, I just want to be happy. You know, just I enjoy what I do. One thing that I really enjoy. I was a film minor in college, so I enjoy anything that's storytelling. So I was thinking that maybe down the road I'll be like a documentary filmmaker, something like that, because it's still storytelling, you know. So I'm just taking it one day at a time and just hope I'm in a position where I'm happy. You know, of course, you know, if that involves taking a lot of money, that would be great too.
Gotta get that bag.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I didn't get nothing for that. Nothing, because my station, they own the rights to the video technically, and then Yellowstone, it's a conflict of interest to receive money from people you interview, and and the National Park Service, they're a nonprofit anyway, so they wouldn't like pay me for nothing, you know, because they're a nonprofit. So I was just like, if I wasn't working in journalism, and if I did something that, I don't know, like say I went viral for like a Popeyes, say I was eating like a Popeyes chicken sandwich, and I went viral for that. Popeyes can then call me and say, hey, we want to pay you to do a commercial. It doesn't work that way with a nonprofit in journalism. So it's like, I just gotta deal with it, I guess.
So basically, you'll get your money down the road from all the contacts you have made and things of that nature.
Exactly.
All right. Well, brother, this is Deion, man. I appreciate you coming on No Referees podcast, sharing your stories. Everyone around the country knows you from the Bison fame, but I really wanted to tap into that Baltimore culture because it's so fascinating to me. And again, like I mentioned at the outset, I knew as soon as I heard those words come out your mouth on that tweet, I knew you were from Baltimore. And you can't, if y'all don't know, y'all better watch The Wire. Y'all better watch any shows from Baltimore because it really wasn't the first part. It was until you said with you, I knew it was from Baltimore.
Everybody said the same thing.
So everybody, please go follow Deion on his social media accounts. You can search for him at Deion Broxton. Mr. 41, though, appreciate you coming on there, Deion Broxton, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And stay in touch, too. I'll follow you in all your social media.
Yeah, cool, man. I appreciate it, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the No Referees podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening to this show and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on social media at No Referees Pod. Till the next episode, we out.